Hi, Roses. I'm Rosie, the psychic reader at the Psychic War, and roses are red. Violets are blue, but I'm actually reading the energy, not just riding the waves like some people do. If that's something you can connect to, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and watch the playlist. The playlist this week is called, and I don't even know what this means. Little Tommy has lost his towel. Little Tommy has lost his towel. I don't even remember downloading that, but that's the energy we're about to get into. I almost feel like somebody has lost their mind to some extent. Little Tommy has lost his towel. I don't remember writing that down. Okay. What is this about? Little Tommy has lost his towel. What is that about? Okay. I don't know. Why did this come off like a kid being abused? That sounds like somebody in the locker room, like, and the coach is like, "Oh, little Tommy has lost his towel." I don't know what that's about. I have no clue. You have tolerant here. Somebody's becoming more tolerant, possibly of things they don't understand. Maybe like how am I even gonna read this energy that I don't understand? It's kind of like in the past, maybe you were someone who you were just looking for problems. It's very easy. All you got to do is squint and stare. You'll find a problem eventually, and then you fix the problem, and then whatever the pattern is, it's observing the pattern. But now I feel like the pattern is being broken because you might be someone who's letting go of grudges. You're not looking for problems anymore. You're becoming more tolerant of other people's energy. You have orderly here. Something could be changing about the order and the resources that you use. Ungrateful is coming up. I'm kind of concerned with this ungratitude here. I feel like it's just the beginning. More on this little Tommy lost his towel. What this is about: tolerance, disorder, this resource, ungratitude, ungrateful, responsible. I don't know if this is something that happened in the past or some type of trauma that's coming up. A disorder, possibly. Maybe somebody has split personalities, like they don't remember what they did, or like maybe it's like some boundaries in your personality, like you can't really explore your whole self because of whatever reason. And so it's like, oh well, I'm not Tasha right now, or I'm not Ashley. I have to be Rose, or like I can't be all these people at the same time. So I don't know if that's coming out here. You have the death card at the bottom. I feel like you had a lot of responsibilities in the past that you're letting go of. That could be really scary for some people. Like the responsibility was who you are, like it made you, and because you let go of it, it's like, well, who am I now? Or maybe you were playing a role for somebody that got lost. Also, a lot of times when it comes to a towel, it's like you throw in the towel. Maybe your name is Tommy or Thomas, or maybe that has something to do with doubtful Thomas, like losing your faith. You have Six of Feathers, someone following Ruth and the Moabite. There maybe with this ungratefulness is like people were following you around and you weren't grateful for that attention because you had mental problems that you were dealing with. Whatever those mental problems are, it's like nothing to be ashamed of. It was just something you were working on. Like even if it has to do with gratitude, like I'm just learning how to be grateful. And I can't really be a celebrity right now. I have to work on myself. But it seems like people were chasing you down, trying to get you to perform for them, like be this character for them. Then you had the Hanged Man. It seemed like all your resources were running dry because everybody wanted you to pay up. Like they felt like they had already given you enough. Like they were your friends. I'm your friend from the past. Now it's time for you to be my slave. Or, I gave you this job. I know, I'm getting like they really wanted you to work for them for free. Like almost like you worked first. Yeah. You worked first, and then it was time for them to pay up. but something happened, like that's the lesson you learn, possibly, that you don't work until you're paid. I don't know who that's for, because it's not always the case. A lot of times you do have to work first and then you get paid. So it's like it was out of order. Maybe you got paid first and then you never did the job. Like you lost the responsibility. I don't know what kind of reading this is. It's almost like people were tolerant of you. Like you were in their house, sleeping in their house on their couch, but you're like, I died for you type of energy. I'm your friend. That's all you wanted, was someone to support you and love you, and that takes all of me. That's all of my energy. I didn't have any energy left to care about myself. So that was the least you could do, was give me a couch. Then you have tolerant here. Yeah, like you were bent over backwards, or just like breaking your back to supply a source of energy for this person. And it's like, it's a spirit world. You were working in a spirit world, but they didn't want to pay you in the 3D. Even though we all know, it's not a secret that positive energy is desirable and it's hard work. Maybe people don't know how hard it is to stay positive. All they think about is how sad they are. Well, everybody has the ability to be sad, but positive people rise above the sadness. And then they start getting picked on by other people who can't rise above their own sadness. And they're like, well, give me some of your happiness. And that's what happens. Like, if I'm giving you my happiness, then I can't go to work. I can't feed myself. I can't, like, it's everything that happens in the 3D. Like, you need to treat me like a queen. I need to be your king. If you're feeding off of my energy in the spirit world, if I'm helping you to think and live and yada, 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 yada. That's why I feel like it was just like, oh, hell no. But I'm not trying to curse on this channel. They're like, no, you're our slave, buddy boy. You're not our king. So then you have 9 of Swords, like overworking, overthinking. And that's what it seemed like it was the crucifixion happened, because you were their king. At some point, you were their king. But then something, obviously you knew what was going to happen. You knew they were going to turn on you. And I feel like somewhere along the way, this just was you proving to yourself that this is how people are. Like, you just needed to learn through an experience and not just reading about it in books and other people's experience. Because I feel like you had a lot of advice to leave these people alone. Over and over, I feel like that's all they were saying, is leave these people alone. They're not worth your time. But you let them crucify you, and you might have ended up on the streets. You might have ended up in a hospital, like literally technically lost your mind, didn't know what was the next move. Or like, what do people consider to be broken? Like, I feel like you definitely reached that point of being broken. And now you're at the point where, well, you just get right back up. For broken, but for you, it's just another step along the way. For them, it's death. But for you, you rise back up from the dead. There was an energy here of someone who was being convicted, and the system, I don't know if this was the 3D, if this is the future. You know how they say you have multiple lifetimes if you get sentenced to death or sentenced to life in jail? You have multiple lifetimes. So what does that even mean? Basically, they said that you were sentenced to life in prison, and if you die and rose back up from the grave like Jesus, then you get another life. It's like they have faith. They understand the word. They understand God. These demons, the way they operate. They said if you die and rise back up, you're going to still be in jail. So I don't know what it is. They have faith. They love God, but they worship the devil. They don't love God. They are aware that God exists, but they worship the devil. Like, they're constantly on the devil's side. So I don't know if that's something you're going through. And then you have 6 of Wands here. So there's patience. There's 6 of Wands. It's like there's a new way that you operate that includes everything you've been through. It includes that part of your life where you were constantly giving and sharing and loving and just doing everything that God required of you, including going down into the pit and dying and being in a grave, living amongst the dead, rising back up. That could have even been a challenge for you to rise back up. Like, it could have been like, they don't deserve my positive energy, I'm just going to be depressed. But then you rose back up, and now you're above everybody that was beating down on you. And they do the same thing over and over again, like it's just going to be another day. But it just doesn't work that way. Because I feel like what you did was basically like, you set yourself up to never be beaten down again. There's a connection here. So I definitely feel like it's worth it. Maybe you were afraid of that connection in the past because you were dealing with toxic entities who just wanted to exercise their wrath and violence. But now I feel like there's a sweet gentleman coming in. If this is a feminine that I'm reading for, or a homosexual man, it's not always about gender. It could be a woman that's coming in, but I'm reading this as a romantic, emotional, dramatic energy that's coming in, and someone who loves you. Nine of Earth. Yeah, so something happened in the past that gave you the ability to break down, because I feel like breaking down is so important. Like, you're not someone who has to be tough all the time. And you know, when people act tough, they are so weak and closed doors. They do things that's like, I can never do that. Oh my God, really? Like, I'd rather just cry or whatever. I don't know if you even need to cry at this point, because it's so healthy. Like, most people cry when they're laughing. Like, the laughing emoji is real, and that's where the tears come from. It's tears of joy, literally. So I don't even feel like someone's has like that type of sadness. Like, if it's sad, it's like, okay, yeah, there are miserable people in the world, and that's where that broken downness is from. I don't have to fight them. Just let them be miserable. They're passing by. Let the misery pass by, and just keep going back to your state of ascension. Just keep rising back up.